where do you recommend as a place to live in Russia? Your perspective would be interesting. Thanks for talking to us.
Oh God, let me tell you, not around Moscow. During summer, and especially those moth pits when they begin to burn and think, but again, for people who want, first, it is amazing city, mind-boggling. That is why very many people who never have been to Moscow from the West, they come in, they are stunned. I mean, they're all those Londons and Paris look like dumpsters, compared to Moscow. So, but around Moscow, yeah, sure, there are many wonderful now communities which are popping here and there, all around, Russia. St. Petersburg is, again, climate. It's St. Petersburg, and again, they are expensive cities, make no mistake. You also will have to have good wherewithal to live in Crimea, or let alone Sochi, and the Caucasus coast of the Black Sea, which is Russian Riviera. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's like saying, where do you want to live in the United States? I mean, it's so big, and there's so many different places.
Vladivostok is awesome, but you have to fly 7.5 hours to Moscow. And especially the winters in Vladivostok screw that, and summers could be also very unpleasant, but it's a boom town together with Khabarovsk, which are just crazily developing. So there are many places in Siberia one can consider, Novosibirsk, around Novosibirsk. But then again, you get into the sharply continental climate with the very hot summers and very cold winters. So it depends, Yekaterinburg, some people say, oh, we love Yekaterinburg. Sure, that's beautiful, your own mountains, yeah.
Okay, here, let me give you this question. It just popped up. Where would you live if you have a teen going into university? Which universities are good? Well, again, it depends on their specialty.
Yeah, oh my God. Russia has stunning universities, actually. Obviously, we're not talking about Moscow universities. It's clear. And especially if you go in technology, I can tell you one thing which makes MIT look like pathetic, pretenders. It's Bauman State Technical Institute, which gave the birth to Soviet space program and all weapons and industry development, So, and you can go to Moscow State University, you can go to, St. Petersburg State, wonderful schools, and there are wonderful schools in Novosibirsk and Novosibirsk State University, top notch. I mean, absolutely top notch, world class. And that is why I don't read those rankings, which is complete garbage, So you want to go to the universities to produce the cutting edge, education in terms of cutting edge technologies and industrial development. So many of them, again, as I already stated, well, people say Yekaterinburg also good. I don't know much about it. Yekaterinburg is sort of like liberal capital of the bunch of, but Novosibirsk State is wonderful. I mean, it's legendary, in fact.
I'll keep that in mind. I haven't visited Ekaterinburg yet, but I want to. It's towards the top of my list. I wonder if you're coming here before you've learned Russian, if it's better to live in Moscow or, well, obviously a bigger city.
Moscow is expensive. Moscow is freaking expensive as any city of this scale and standard of living is. And yeah, again, many people do not understand what Moscow is until they end up there. It's like, what the hell, man? So,
well, I want to ask you a kind of an off-topic, I'm sure, stupid question, but recently I was in Vyborg, and it's a city that has changed hands several times, right, from different countries.
Yeah,
and I thought to myself, well, could this be why Europe fears Russian expansionism? I don't think Russian expansionism is something to be afraid of, but is this like an example of a city that was captured? Or, I was asking around the people that were there. I couldn't really get a straight answer. So I thought I might ask you. So what do you know about Vyborg? How do you explain
Scandinavians are actually paranoid. And do not forget, Swedes hate Russians for a reason that Russia was the one which basically offed their empire. By the time of Peter the Great, Sweden was the superpower of the North. They were second most important country, empire after British Empire, essentially.
Right.
And so here comes Peter the Great and just beats the crap out of them, at Poltava, then St. Petersburg is built and all that. So they have this, grudge, long, Same goes for Poles. Russia's, they, from Morze to Morze, from sea to sea, Polish Empire, and so off they go, they attack Russia, they take even Kremlin, and then it all ends up so badly, Russians just come and capture the whole Poland. Okay, so, there are many historical grudges, and they go through centuries, and as I already stated, keep in mind, a lot of Europe actually subscribed very much to Nazi ideology. Not all of Europe, but remember, French said, well, we surrender. So Vichy government was pretty good for them. Okay, have you seen very many people there fighting in resistance? French resistance is a joke. Okay, and the only guys actually who fought partisans were Italians, as a matter of fact, but they had their fascist government and the lies of Hitler. So I mean, you look at this. I mean, Europe was okay with Hitler and Nazis, Wehrmacht, and doing their thing. Lebensraum, and then reduce Russians to about 30 million as the slaves. No, literacy and all that. They remove basically all cities like Moscow and Leningrad. Leningrad was supposed to be one huge hole. So Swedes helped, neutral Swedes. Finns took direct part until 1944, when Mannerheim suddenly recognized that it's over. Let's go to talk to Stalin. Okay,
right.
But that's what we are. Slavs are subhumans. We are Untermenschen. So, and that's how Europe thinks and always did. And especially since the Baron de Custine, who wrote about this, like, scratch Russian and you get the Tatar there, So it's his famous memoirs. And again, as I already stated, if you look at what has been taught for decades about Soviet Union and Russia, it's good Lord, it's some fanatical hatred. It's just, there's no real understanding of what is going on. And it's practice. Many people do not understand. That's why they even translate Ivan Grozny wrongly for a reason. Actually, Ivan Grozny
on purpose.
Of course, it's on purpose. Ivan Grozny is not Ivan Terrible. Grozny in Russian means menacing.
Okay, all right.
So, and it's like this.
So if you guys don't know who are watching, Ivan the Terrible, you've heard that before. That's the way it's said in the West. So
well,
over here it's Ivan Grozny,
the menacing.
So Ivan the menacing.
It has nothing to do about people. Actually, he killed less people throughout his reign. For example, the Huguenots, the famous, Vendée, and what can I say? Sure, but Russians are bloodthirsty. Well, Solzhenitsyn took a huge part in convincing that Russians are, all treasonous, all gulag-loving, or gulag-hating. It's all gulag. In Russia, everything gulag. You go to your nearest Peterechka, it's gulag. And Solzhenitsyn is called, he was one of the greatest CIA and, the propaganda information operation against Soviet Union.
Because 10 years ago, I thought, Solzhenitsyn, I guess he was a good guy. He's a good Russian guy.
No, he is.
And now I've learned, living here.
Yeah, he is. But they still continue to teach based on him. And, it's like Doug McGregor. Doug McGregor, I respect him as professional, but he knows nothing about Russian Soviet history. He was completely brainwashed by his German friends. And he still believes that NKVD killed 1+ million people behind lines. Those, it's like they times 10. Solzhenitsyn, again, what can I say?
Rolling?
Yes.
Did you like that clip? If so, click here. But if you love that clip, click here and watch the full video. Also remember to like, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, share before I disappear.